Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 1 of Between the Rows, 1871. This is going to be our mini campaign during October. It is kind of a little bit of a spin-off of our previous mini campaign, Between the Rows. If you haven't seen that, there may be some tie-ins that you might want to know about, so feel free to watch that. It's on YouTube, also in podcast form. It was great fun. Additionally, this is going to be a little bit different. We will not be using D&D for this. We are going to be using a different RPG called Vaesen. If you want to know how that works, we have been playing it this past couple weeks, I suppose, at this point in time. We should also have a little short clip kind of explaining how the game works, maybe during the break or afterwards or some other time, who knows. But keep an eye out for that if you want to know kind of the rules and how it all works.
If it makes you feel better, I've played this game like 4 times and I still don't know how to play it.
Yeah. Another thing that I probably should cover, if you haven't noticed yet, this is pre-recorded. So we're probably in the chat right now. Honestly.
Hi Lydia, sup? How you doing?
Yeah, hi future me.
Weird.
Hope things are going better for you.
You guys have real laughing Lydia responding to herself saying, "Oh, what's up, me? I'm so cool."
We're not gonna keep going. We're gonna end up ending ourselves trying to do this. Shh, I will mute you. But in order to keep this short, sweet, and to the point, because I've got like 2 hours to do this, let's roll that intro.
Welcome, weary wanderer, be you friend or foe, where winds of fate have begun to change the land of Chicago. There, money, magic, and mystery float like blood and wine, and traitors lie waiting patiently, counting borrowed time. Beneath the streets and alleyways, a labored breathing slows, as ravenous flames await their prey and burn between the rows.
So, the date is October 6th, 1871. The camera pans and zooms over one of the number one, if not the number one, trade cities in the world at the time, Chicago, Illinois. Specifically, it moves down through these taller wooden buildings for the time. This is revolutionary. Chicago origin of the skyscraper, and it moves down to a pretty well-off gambling house. On the side, there hangs the little placard that swings in the wind. Goes by the name the Rusty Musket. We head in through the door. Silas. I have already messed this up, but please introduce your character.
So, I am playing Sylas Espacio, a young, in his late, his early 30s, member of a local mafia, a crime family, as it were, running this gambling house. He is, you can see it on the slideshow. He's got a fairly angular face with a goatee and a bowler hat on, and is perhaps currently just relaxing in a chair somewhere, just having a good time, watching his many patrons. Yeah.
Maybe. If there were patrons. But at the moment, you're actually a little bit tense. It is early in the morning in this very cool day.
It's so tense.
October. You're pretty tense because you have learned that your brother, Vincent Espacio, disappeared last night. Now, this wouldn't be so strange for some people. Also, for one of your standing in the city, and kind of your ne'er-do-well existence, this certainly is uncommon, but not necessarily a problem. The reason that you're so tense is that you can't figure out how they did it. Your brother disappeared in this gambling house last night, and there is zero evidence of what happened. He didn't contact you, but you have a gut feeling he was either kidnapped or something else went on. But your brother is gone. Have you contacted the authorities?
No.
I figured. But honestly, you never know. I figured I should ask. So, my question for you, Silas.
Mm-hmm.
Who is the first person who you either contact or arrives to help you?
Well, the clear choice for Silas, really, is his boy, really. His butler, his faithful servant.
Ah, yes.
Lucio Rosa.
Immediately, as you think these thoughts, oh, where's my precious butler? A man strolls in through one of the back doors, ready to be at your side. Lucio, could you please introduce yourself?
Lucio is a older gentleman in probably late 50s, early 60s. He's been a butler for Sylas Espacio for the last year or so. He's a tall man, not spindly by any means, but also not very big. He wears pinstripe black pants with a white blouse, and then the like necktie that like ties around, and it's like very poofy in the front.
Ah, yes.
A little pin on the front of it, and then he has a classic double-breasted tailed suit jacket that he wears as well. His beard is well combed. His white beard is well combed with the comb over on top. His small glasses resting on the tip of his nose. How may I be of service to you, master?
Lucio, do you recall? You said last night this happened?
Last night.
Yeah. Okay. Do you recall last night seeing Vinny around? And perhaps who he might have been accompanied with, or anyone you saw speaking with him?
DM, do I recall Vinny last night and anybody accompanying him?
Well, you like to keep an eye on things. You like to know where people are going.
Yeah, definitely.
Just keep an eye, be ready to help whenever you can. You definitely know that Vinny was here last night. Specifically, you remember that he was playing Texas Hold'em over at one of the side tables, one of his favorite games. Vinny is a very kind soul, unlike the rest of his family. Vincent never wanted to be in crime. His dream, actually, and he is very, very glad to talk about it whenever given the chance. So he actually always wanted to be a watchmaker. He has very nimble fingers. Everyone always wanted to make him learn how to lockpick. That's probably where he first got the idea that he liked gears and all that. Speaking of this, Silas, just a few days ago, you were actually gifted a beautiful silver pocket watch, glass-backed so you can see the gears turning. Made personally by your brother. He has a matching one. Just kind of as a gift. It was honestly kind of out of the blue. But Lucio, you are also a little stumped by this, because you are so sure that you didn't let Vincent out of your sight for more than 2 minutes, and there was no commotion. There was no, there's no way that he could have left the building in that time. You have absolutely no idea where or how he would have gone anywhere.
You know, I have been pondering that myself. He was here last night playing Texas Hold'em with some of his friends, but for the entirety of the night, he was never outside of my sight for longer than 2 minutes at a time. Never enough for him to leave the building or for anybody to take him by any means. So I wish I had more information, Master, but I'm quite stumped myself.
Yes, this is very troubling to me. Oh boy, I really hope he hasn't gotten himself in. That would be lovely. Thank you.
I turn and snap my heels together and promptly go get my boy a hot tower.
Now, Silas. You've got a couple of options here. There are a few things that you know. Some of them might just be assumptions. A big part about this world, and a blessing or maybe a curse, that you know that Lucio also has this. You have the sight, is what some people call it. You can see things in the city that most people can't. Strange creatures that prowl along the alleyways and flit over the buildings. You don't really have a name for them, but your gut is telling you that this is not a regular disappearance.
Right.
So that gives you a couple options. Do you A, call perhaps the person closest to you who you know can also see these things? B, you're going to need someone who isn't connected to the police. This isn't a police business. You don't like them in your stuff, any news, and also they have a tendency to maybe spread the word, and you're not sure if you want anyone to know that your family's weakened.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we can't let the other, competing businesses in the area to know that that one of our boys have gone missing.
And last up, option C is you do have kind of your otherworld informant. His name is Virgil, but most people just call him Papa. You could also contact him. Out of those 3 options, or option D, do something completely out of the blue and just I can kick the other 2 players to the curb and this NPC. Which do you pick?
Yeah, I get to play.
I'll just leave. You can do it yourself.
Well, to be honest, option B is kind of my last option, really. So I think I am going to, after Lucio comes back from my hot towel.
Yeah.
And
I return.
Very important.
Let me wait.
Very important.
I return with your hot towel. I step. Do you have a nice chair?
Yes, I imagine I'm sitting like we have a balcony spot that overlooks.
Properly lounging.
Yeah, yeah. I just have a very nice kind of red velvet chair with a footstool that I'm resting my feet on.
Yeah. I come over, and on the little side table I set down a golden tray with 2 sets of hot towels. I then step behind very very elegantly, and I grab your shoulders and pull you back ever so slightly before grabbing a hot towel and gently laying it over your face. I then come around to the other side, grab the other hot towel. I stand next to him. I stand next to him with my hands behind my back and another hot towel laying over my face.
Absolutely.
Yes, Master.
I think I'm going to go out. There's an old friend I need to speak with.
Way to role play.
Oh, yeah. It just.
Do you need me to accompany you, master?
I think I would like the company.
These are dark times. So, who are you visiting?
I'm going to go see my childhood friend, Aubrey.
Awesome.
Well,
not that far of a journey.
Friend
reality.
Since childhood.
This kind of gambling house was built from the ground up by your grandfather when he first moved to Chicago. You live literally like in the backyard. It's like a connected home. So like 4 doors down is where Aubrey lives. Aubrey, it is pretty early in the morning. It's like 6 a.m. What are you doing at this time?
Nose in a book.
Absolutely.
Nose in like 3 books at the same time. Like
candle
scattered.
lit. You have been up all night researching some random trail that you have found through these books, specifically regarding, if I were to get, there are quite a few different topics, one of which is like Native American tribes that once habited this kind of area, their like conditions and movements and rituals and things like that. I would also guess spontaneous combustion is probably another thing that you've been kind of looking at, along with a few other mixed bag of topics.
Oh yeah.
When you hear a light rapping at your door,
she kind of like scoops all the books up and is still like reading them and kind of like just opens the door like a crack.
Aubrey, it's me. It's Silas.
Hi.
Hi. May I come in?
Me as well.
Yes, and Lucio, of course.
Yeah, come. Mind the mess, and she kind of opens the door and lets you guys in.
Yeah, you enter Aubrey's domicile. It is not nearly as like rich and posh as the like Espacio estate.
Right. Yeah.
It's still a nice home. Like it isn't like gutter trash by any means, but it is floor to ceiling stacks of books, bookshelves, writing utensils, random notebooks that have been like half finished with like ink still dripping,
crumpled paper everywhere.
Just it is. If there were more variation, it would be like a horde.
She's kind of like she's like kicking things as she's like walking in and like trying to shove them out of sight. And
so you're walking in front of us?
Yeah.
Okay.
I see you've cleaned up the place a little bit.
Yeah, I actually did some fighting earlier. Last week.
You're not sure what day it is.
What day is it?
Today is a Thursday.
Today is Thursday.
Sent. I don't know if that is factually correct.
I don't know either. I can tell you that much.
Thursday,
That's just what came to mind.
I pull out.
Oh, it's a Thursday, and I start like looking through like the papers.
I pull out a little stick that's about 6 inches long, and I take a cap off of it, and there's about like 4 feathers.
Close. It's actually Friday.
Ah,
yes. But
I'm sorry. It's Friday.
I take the cap off of it.
Oh, that's
like 4
so
or 5
different.
feathers or something, and I just start dusting.
Yes.
He just carries a duster on him.
Bro,
OSHA hasn't been invented yet, but OSHA is offended by this.
Should I introduce Aubrey?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Please do. Thank you for reminding me, because I was just ready to go with it. This is just such a blast.
So I am playing Aubrey Jones. Aubrey is an intelligent woman, though most of her time is spent trying to keep up with her own brain. She has an impressive eye for detail, but everything has to be written down. She tends to actually get so absorbed in specifics and details, she becomes oblivious to obvious things happening around her, like time, her surroundings.
Eating food,
sleeping. Can't keep track of that to save her life. As her home shows, workspaces, organized chaos. Very much chaos, but in her mind it's organized. She's a bit of a petite woman. She looks to be in her later 20s, possibly early 30s. Very delicate face with several beauty marks scattered about, round, dark green eyes, ashy brown hair that's tied back and has these neat little curls to them. She is currently wearing this gray ruffled dress, and with the long sleeves. She isn't currently wearing them, but she usually is wearing these white lace gloves as well with it. And she does have an emerald necklace on. She's an academic. She's a historian. Her whole family has kind of had very much academic success, and she is working very hard to try to continue on that legacy as she has grown up here in Chicago and is a resource to many.
Awesome.
I like it how Lydia described her character way better than I did. And now I want to go back and re-describe my character.
I learned from Renaya. That was me with Renaya. I've learned from Renaya.
All I have to say is that I'm confused. I thought this was Chicago, not Montgomery, Alabama. Nobody's going to understand that aside from maybe Grant. But it's okay.
I don't even understand
that. Was such a
I have no idea.
Do you understand it, Grant?
No.
Oh no, dang it.
Hey.
Nobody does.
But that's okay.
The Jones. Jones is why I was saying that.
It's too late. Well, it's just rock and roll.
I don't follow.
Playing a game.
It's actually really good you're here. I found a new thing on this whole spontaneous combustion thing. Possibly alcohol. Have you been... Do you drink a lot of alcohol? No, that was when we were running, but that'd be really bad. Never mind. Scratch that theory. Anyway, what did you need?
Right. I was needing some help.
More so than I can provide, apparently. But it's fine.
Jealous butler mode.
Help with what?
Vinny has gone missing.
Okay.
He disappeared last night at the gambling house. I suspect that a creature was involved.
Okay. And she kind of like goes to put the books down and ends up just kind of throwing them, and then goes and starts grabbing other books, and then picks up her journal. Okay. So what do we know? What do we know so far?
Well, he was at the casino last night.
Okay.
I personally was attending to some business, so I was not keeping a very close eye on him. But later that night, I found out that he had not been seen for some time. And Lucio here said that he kind of just vanished. I was curious if you perhaps saw something, heard something, or maybe even if you had an idea as to what might have happened. You were a very capable and intelligent woman.
When was this?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. What time is it?
About 6 in the morning.
Okay. Did I see anything?
No, you were nose deep in a book. You think, though, you have done a fair bit of research when it comes to, like, noticing otherworldly threats and existences and things like that, you might be able to glean some information that Silas and Lucio couldn't, just because of your experience kind of looking through stuff like that. If you were to see the scene of the crime, I guess. If it hasn't been reported, is it really a crime?
Okay, sure. Where this was at the Rusty Musket, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. I'm sure if we go there, maybe I can figure something out.
Really? Oh, thank you so much.
Right.
Do you need a few minutes?
I just let me make. Yeah, I'll. No, wait. And then she grabs like another 2 and shoves them like under her arm. Okay, I think I'm good.
We need to get you a bag.
I go over and I take the books from under her arm.
Oh, perfect. That means I can bring more. And she goes and grabs a few others.
I grab a few more and place those on top of the stack.
Thank you. And she goes and grabs some more.
Okay, AJ, let's go.
Okay.
This is going to be an endless loop, Lucio. You realize this.
As Silas goes to leave, and Aubrey and I are back behind him, I just turn to Aubrey, and then we do our secret handshake. And then we can go.
I don't.
you guys...
my friend and butler have a secret handshake. I don't know how I feel about it.
But you don't know it. It's a secret.
It's
a secret. That's the
secret.
point.
Yeah, exactly.
You 3 head back to the Rusty Musket. You swing open the doors. They're kind of those like old-fashioned saloon doors.
Yeah.
Nice. And of course they have that effect where like if it was crowded and someone dramatically swings the door open, suddenly it's silent, and the only thing is like a creaky floor that wasn't creaky 30 seconds ago.
Except nobody's here because it's like early in the morning on a Friday.
Oh, of course. Except there is someone here.
I slam the door open.
Standing, pipe in his mouth, looking across the grounds. Benedict Collins. Word travels fast through the grapevine that you're connected to. And a little birdie told you that an interesting customer may or may not have gone missing. So, of course, you being you invited yourself in. You've been examining the scene of the crime when all of a sudden you hear the doors swing open behind you, and you are all greeted by... Could you please describe your character?
He walks up to the 3 of you standing there, and he just says, Collins. Benedict Collins. Before you see a man, about 5'10", standing in front of you. He has a bushy mustache and a kind of deflated cap with a smaller bill. And he has kind of a poncho-esque thing that cuts off at his waist, that goes over his arms and torso. It's like a checkered cream and brown with like a plaited thin stripes of maroon. It looks real cool. He has about knee-high boots that are like pretty tight to his skin. They're like this deep, dark brownish leather. And he just has these kind of baggy khaki trousers on under. And then he has a belt. And he has a few knickknacks, like a holster and, a few things here and there. And of course, he's holding this long, skinny pipe that he is just casually huffing and puffing. My character, Benedict Collins, is a private detective. And he's been solving crimes for the city for a very long time. Probably almost decades, plural at this point. He's very well known, and he pretty much solves every case he's ever had. He's quite arrogant, and he knows that he's the best, and he really just kind of does investigation for the thrill of it, for the challenge of the investigation. He's a bit less of a moral character. That's not quite his drive. And so sometimes he works with the police, but a lot of the time he's just doing his own private detective work, and that's what he enjoys to do. So he walks up, and he says, after saying his name, he says, Silas, it's nice to meet you again.
What are you doing here, Collins?
Well, as you know, I have my ways of hearing what's happening in the city. a little birdie told me that your brother, Vinny, he went missing last night. And we both know that you need help with this. Because from the sound of it, there's no way that he could have left the building. It's so strange.
While they're talking, Aubrey has kind of like stepped around and is looking around the room. Is just looking around the room for like anything.
While she does that, I just lean over Silas' shoulder and I just say, "I'll find the bird and I'll kill it." And I lean back.
I don't hear that.
No,
you
so
don't.
silent.
That's what I thought.
But before we get to too much dialogue, too much rolling, we're going to freeze frame now that the group is together and do a little bit of surprise character building. Specifically, we are going to go down, myself included, and we are going to give the character that on my screen is next in line a character trait that they didn't previously know. In my case, I'll give it to Lydia will give it to Drew to DJ to Grant, and then Grant will give the unknown threat some form of input. Now, it could be good, it could be bad, it could be something completely pointless or completely hilarious. I don't know what it's going to be, they don't know what it's going to be. But this will be a part of your character, or in my case, the threat for the rest of these episodes. I'm going to start. Aubrey Jones. When you were around, you had a brief stint from the ages of about 10 to 15 where you would dress yourself kind of like look boyish and play in a ragtime band as the pianist. So you are incredibly skilled with a piano.
Nice.
Heck yes.
Nice.
And then mine for Silas. Silas has the worst handwriting in the world. Absolute chicken scratch. You can't read it.
That's good.
This is great.
Oh, I love
the amount of times Lucio has gotten a note and said, "Yes, sir," and then not had any idea.
And he just guessed.
I never did it either. I never noticed, but I just never did whatever she just asked.
So, my Lucio, my faithful butler, he is the worst sleeper because he snores as loud as a train, really. And not only that, but he sleeps with his eyes open. So you feel like he's just always watching you if you're sleeping.
It's really hard to tell. This is
always
great.
one eye open.
Sometimes both.
Benedict.
What do you got for me?
You, in your youth, you had quite the obsession with caterpillars and butterflies.
Oh.
But there's a catch. You, at one point, came across a rock that looked exactly like a chrysalis, and you have been sure that it has been a caterpillar ever since, just waiting to transform into a butterfly. And so you still carry this chrysalis with you. Its name is Spurk, S-P-E-R-K, and you talk to this. This is what you talk to when you're going through your thought process for all your different theories and everything. So Spurk.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
This is his Hamlet skull.
Yeah.
Is this rock that you think is a butterfly chrysalis?
I have added Spurk the rock to my equipment. Of course, I think it's a caterpillar.
This is excellent. Now, perhaps the most challenging task. Benedict, what you got?
I have 2 words.
Oh no.
For the big bad. Ready?
I have my pencil ready.
Playfully curious.
Oh, this is great.
Oh no.
Now we're gonna be another child.
I also just definitely misspelled curious, and I'm not even gonna change it.
Oh boy.
All right, so we all have our new character information. Let's get right back into it. Silas, you are being approached by Benedict. He has offered in a way or suggested his services to you. Aubrey, could you please roll I'm gonna have you roll an investigation check for me.
Benedict, do you go to shake Silas's hand?
Yes, absolutely.
You go to shake Silas's hand, and I take one step forward, and I pull out a little rag and grab your hand and wipe it down real quick.
Well, that seems
before allowing
unnecessary.
Silas to shake it.
I then shake it.
Did a deal then?
I got 2 6s.
That is excellent.
That's the best that you can do, isn't it?
I mean, additional 6s give you more information. So,
it's not a 2d6. Is that what we call it?
it's a D6 would be if you're rolling for like this game's version of percentile dice.
Yeah.
But this is just basically looking for how many 6s you get. The more 6s, the better.
Yes. Like I said, I don't know how this game is played.
Hey, we're getting to it.
We'll get to it.
We're all trying to remember.
You'll learn fast.
We should have had DJ listen to the promo video. That
I will get back to what those 6s give you in a moment. When the rest of you kind of realize that Aubrey is already searching around. Because I assume that Silas, you were going to respond.
Yes, I was. Yes, I look at Benedict and I say, only because I do respect your work, I will allow this. But just know, my butler's keeping an eye on you.
Oh, you don't have to worry about me. I mean, for what it's worth. And he puts his hand on his shoulder. And he says,
I take his hand off his shoulder.
Okay.
Dust it off.
Dust off his shoulder. He says, I hold nothing against you. I'm more intrigued by you. You bested me once. That's never happened. Now, that's past. The public doesn't care. My face isn't in danger anymore.
For now.
So we'll just see how this plays out.
You all notice Aubrey Jones prowling around, books in hand, dual-wielding books. Look at a book, look at the ground, look at a book, look at the ground, look at the sky, look at the book, look at the book, look at the sky, look at the ground.
AJ, any progress?
I take out the book that I think might be most helpful to her, and I just follow her around with it open.
Sometimes she'll turn around and look at that one.
Aubrey's putting in a cheat code right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Up, down, left, right,
yeah,
BA, start.
Exactly, yeah.
Plugs it right in. You end up, you haven't been told this, but you end up near the poker table. You're kind of looking around from a base glance. There is nothing abnormal here. The chairs look like chairs, the tables look like tables. But then you're standing there, books in hand, and it isn't something that you see or hear or anything like that that catches you off ground. It's something you smell. It smells like a strange combination of like wet dog and sulfur.
What do you smell with your human nose, Aubrey Jones?
Do you smell that? Do you smell that too?
Smells like wet dog and sulfur.
Yeah.
You have no idea what this means. I can tell you that much.
Has there been any wet dogs in here lately?
No. You think I would allow wet dogs in here?
I didn't think so, but I thought I should cover my bases. Never assume. Okay. I'm gonna kind of look around, like, the table a bit more. See if I can, like, find where the smell's, like, the strongest.
It's very faint. There were a lot of people. There's always a lot of people in here at night. This is perhaps the gambling spot in this section of town, maybe in all of Chicago. It's kind of hard to tell. But you do know where Vinny, like, his favorite seat is. Like, he always sits in the same spot. It's like his lucky spot. And that does seem to be where the smell is the strongest. Still very faint, but a little bit stronger.
Lucio, I read a story recently about werewolves. They had like a magic pelt. They didn't turn it.
Oh.
Yeah. Just a thought with the wet dog thing, maybe.
I take as I open my jacket, I have several pockets. I take out a small notebook, flip it open. Where? Right. Put it down.
Lucio, you didn't clean anything in here yet, have you? Since anything on?
I don't know. Aaron, odd or even?
It's odd.
No, I have not cleaned anything.
Nah,
I got a 4.
because I rolled the d6, not the d20.
So, Lucio, were you keeping an eye on Vinny at all?
Yes, I was.
What was around him?
He
Any
was
fur?
surrounded by other players. His friends.
Were any of them wearing fur?
Were any of the players wearing fur, DM?
Not particularly.
Not particularly.
Silas,
Maybe not the werewolf thing.
Mm-hmm.
you hear them talking about fur, wet dogs, and stuff.
Yeah.
This kind of strikes a nerve with you.
Mm-hmm.
As with all kind of crime families, there has to be a rival.
Right.
Hmm.
The Machiavellis have plagued your family literally since, like, Chicago began. And they are well known for being excellent breeders of greyhounds.
How do you spell Machiavelli?
M-A-C-H, Mach, I-A, V-E-L-L-I.
I got it!
I'm
I'm so good
impressed
at this.
Machiavelli.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
You say what dog?
And we're talking
Greyhounds.
sulfur.
Well, yeah, no, I'm talking about.
I apologize for all playing.
Shut up, God.
I turn to
I'm
Silas.
sorry.
I turn to Silas with a knowing look and Machiavellis.
Those little slime balls, when I get my hands on them,
Macchiato what?
they're gonna regret ever touching my brother.
I go over to behind the bar, and I grab just like an 18-inch like little board. I just hand it to Silas.
Take it.
Like it's like 2 inches wide, like 18 inches long.
Take it. It's just a board.
It's just there for you to break over your knee.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
In anger.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I take it. I just literally I just walk over to the nearest just post or whatever, and literally just slam it across it.
You are so dramatic.
It definitely it breaks, and you're like, oh man, I'm gonna have to fix that post now.
Yeah, that's
I go
fine.
grab a broom.
And now I'm down a piece of wood.
I go grab a broom and start sweeping it up.
Yeah.
DM, has Benedict ever worked with or about the
the Machiavellis.
Machiavellis? Okay, so Benedict walks up and pretty much just says, well, the good news. If it is the Machiavellis, then we probably won't have that hard of a time actually bringing them down. I mean, what can they actually pull off? They're a little bit messy. You probably know just as much as I do.
I'm sorry, I think I'm missing a very important detail here. What?
Machiavelli
Machiavellis.
family breeds bloodhounds.
Greyhounds.
Is it greyhounds or bloodhounds?
Greyhounds.
Do I know about this family at all?
Not as much as the other three in this group. You not necessarily have avoided being engrossed in the crime families, but it certainly isn't something that you actively pursue. So it's yeah, you know a bit about the Machiavellis. They run, like, they own a lot of businesses. They own a couple of hotels, like, scattered throughout the city.
They have
another wealthy family.
They have a resort across the street from the gambling house.
It's not, they aren't, like, in the city limelight. They are, like, relatively well-liked in the same way that Silas is, but you do know that they have somewhat a negative reputation in the same way, where it's like, they probably have smuggled something illegal in at some point in time, perhaps multiple times or all the time.
Okay. I'm catching on. All right.
Benedict turns to Aubrey and says, I mean, really. Hanging around the likes of dogs, that seems a bit reckless, and he kind of points over, like covering up with his other hand in front of his torso so that others can't see. He kind of points towards Silas and Lucio, and then he says, it's nice to see you again, Aubrey. I'm excited about your next work. You do great things.
Thank you, Mr. Collins.
Right. So now that we've all determined that it's probably the Machiavellis, I look at AJ. Do you
AJ?
think? Do you
Aubrey
think?
Jones.
Do you
I was
think
like, what?
you have a trail at all, or is it just does the scent just end here?
Well, I'm not really, smelling isn't really one of my skills.
Right.
DM.
Yeah.
Could I go over to Vinny's seat?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I can do this multiple times, right? Could I use my bloodhound ability?
Oh, to track?
To track.
That's cool.
I will absolutely allow you to use your talent to attempt to track this.
Yes. Okay, cool.
I believe this adds an additional +2 to a vigilance tracking roll to, track someone or something.
Okay, so vigilance. Okay, just adding to a vigilance check.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I love the fact that Silas is sniffing to find dogs. Usually it's the other way around.
Especially he's sniffing to find dogs that are greyhounds using a bloodhound as the ability.
I love that he first asked Audrey to do it.
Can you do this thing that I'm incredibly good at?
No, because I'm not incredibly good at it, because I have to roll dice.
Hey, I believe. I will allow someone to assist if they would like.
I would love to help my master.
I like to think that Lucio just gets on all fours and is just crawling along the ground.
One success.
I do it.
Okay. It is a tough trail. Because at first you smell it because you hadn't smelled this previously. Like, you weren't really trying to smell it. You were just like, well, I don't see anything. And it was just honestly incredibly lucky that Aubrey managed to smell this. But you smell it and you're kind of looking, you're like, all right, so if he was sitting here, the smell is strongest from this position. Where would that kind of follow that scent a little? You look at the ground, you see a scuff. And you're like, that scuff seems a little bit. You start to follow these tiny little things based entirely off of smell positioning. It's one of the weirdest things the rest of you have ever seen. This master tracker slowly moves out the door to around like the wooden kind of like streetway, and then it stops. And you're not quite like off the sidewalk, but pretty close to where the like main street kind of is.
As I follow him, Master.
Yes, Lucio.
What are you doing?
I'm following the trail.
Benedict is just
Although it
standing
ends
there
here,
watching.
unfortunately.
as you said, there is the Machiavelli kind of like resort / hotel directly across from the Rusty Musket. This is in line with it, but it does not go to the building itself.
Right. I just stare at the building, just scowling.
Aubrey's like the last one in line and is like just has this back to writing again and like bumps into like Benedict. Oh, sorry.
Ooh.
Sorry.
No,
That reminds me. I go back inside and I grab a. I'm gonna grab 3 leather belts, and I strap the set of books that Aubrey has. I use 2 straps to like strap them together, and then 1 strap to like make a handle, and I just grab it and carry it along with me.
You can even kind of bandolier it if you
but
want.
Most of the
Have
books
your,
are
like,
missing
2
because
hands
she's
open.
actually holding them.
Yeah, so
There's lots of
Aubrey
holes.
has like 3 books, and then you just have constructed this like strange backpack of books that like sits like on your chest.
I am
It's just there.
Benedict says to Silas, "You're telling me that you can actually smell where this dog has gone?"
Very, very faintly, but yes. But
Well,
the actual
trawling my
sentence.
tracks, that's brilliant. You could use that. You're saying it went that way.
Yes, it came from the resort. It looks
From
like, however, it ends before reaching it.
Well, that is the Machiavelli's hotel, is it not?
Yes, it is.
Are there any Vaesen nearby that we can see?
Make a vigilance check for me.
Vigilance is with logic, so 3 dice.
Could I also roll a vigilance for that
Oh,
same?
yes,
or
you
help
absolutely
him? I'll
can.
help Lucio, maybe.
You can roll an additional 1.
Oh no, I'll help.
Or if you would like to roll, you certainly can.
2 successes.
Awesome. There are like these are very common. They're kind of all around the city. They're basically like the rats of these creatures, where they're literally just small human heads with bat wings.
Ew.
That just like flap around the city and like roost and stuff. Those are incredibly common. Most people either don't see them or just think that they're like birds.
Do they
Pigeon.
talk at all?
They scream sometimes.
That's nice.
And no, I will
Sometimes.
not make that sound.
I almost asked if you could.
I know
realized.
you did.
I held myself back.
Other than that, there aren't any creatures. This street is, so for those of you who don't know, or if I haven't told you / you weren't born in the 1800s, crazy, I know. Chicago at this point in time Chicago's always pretty rad, but they pulled off one of the craziest feats of engineering ever, in which they literally put the entire city on stilts and raised it like up to 14 inches off the ground. Like sometimes
Why?
entire sections of the city at once, because the city like was so low and close to like sea level that it was like swampy. So it was hard to like walk through the streets. So they built like wooden walkways and streets and sidewalks, and then literally hydraulic pressed them like over a foot up off the ground to make like waterways, because like typhoid fever and like other diseases were running rampant through the streets because they had no sewage system, because it just flowed through like where people existed.
Lucio looks far from the distance, remembers when he ran rampant through the streets in his younger
Oh
days.
yeah, man, you were surrounded by typhoid fever when you were a younger man. Whew. But you do notice that,
you know.
Yeah.
there are like some access hatches, like to the like sewer-esque, like there is like one of the presses that they used, the area where it was actually raised, and the support beams are there.
Could we almost call
there
it
are-
a crawl space?
Some, perhaps. There are alleyways that splinter off in between these rows of buildings. Other than that, it's a very peaceful morning. There's some like foot traffic, but not a whole lot. It's still pretty early. It's like approaching maybe 6:30, 6:45 at most. So the like early risers that are off to like go to early riser work are moving, but nothing much around this part of town. Specifically, you guys are in like close to West Chicago, maybe a little bit northwest, approaching kind of the borders. So it's almost like downtown Chicago.
Good place to do crime. Benedict walks dramatically off about 5 feet. He has his back turned to the group, and he just slips out briefly a little rock that looks like a chrysalis named Spurk. And he says, "All right, Spurk, let's give them a show." Slips it back into his breast pocket, and then he turns around towards the group and he says, "So, we can pretty much deduct that it came from the Machiavelli's hotel. Now, the question is, where does the trail end? See, that will tell us what happened next. Lucio, did you see anything where they went, related to where they went, like a room they went into, perhaps a table they sat at, the last possible location you can remember?"
Last spot that I saw Vinny was at the table.
Curious. And Silas, you didn't pick up a trail going any other direction from that table other than towards the hotel, did you? Yes,
was
as
the
in
trail
you
coming
didn't.
from the hotel or going to the hotel? Or can we tell?
Perhaps both.
It would be
Mr.
to
Collins, you're
the
missing a really important
towards the
detail.
direction.
Towards the direction. Wait, what
Towards
is that?
the direction of the hotel.
Towards the direction of the hotel. Okay, cool.
I didn't want to. I accidentally interrupted, and it wasn't intentional.
Sorry.
Mr. Collins, you're forgetting a really important detail.
Am I?
We're not dealing with just regular people.
The Machiavellis.
We're probably dealing with Vaesen. Or not Vaesen. Vaesen don't actually exist in this.
We can call him Vincent.
They're just
Things from
It's a
the
slang
in-between.
term in this game.
yeah.
Benedict
The
Kinda reeled
unnatural,
back.
the supernatural, you could say.
Benedict kind of reels back and looks a little surprised. And then he says quieter, "Are you speaking of the ones beyond?"
Yes, the ones that you know about and like has heightened your skill up a lot. The reason you solve every cases.
How long have you known?
Pretty much day one.
I mean, it
And
is.
you can
it
all
is-
see this as well.
It is. Yes. Yes.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I've never met anybody who can see this as well.
Well, you've
Just a
actually
bit
just met
curious for
3.
me. Yeah, that's 3 in one spot. That's amazing. Well, with this, certainly we'll be able to whip something up. So, if we're dealing with the beyond, then it wouldn't make sense that it would just appear in the room, would it? It had to get there some way, somehow.
It's less of a beyond, more of like an in-between.
I could go for that, I guess.
I know, it's kind of cliche.
Alice, should we go to the last, to the end of the trail, see if we can find see what we can find?
This is the end of the trail.
Well, heck me.
Now, Silas, you don't like it.
But
There is another option. There was the previous option of option C.
right of talking with my lovely informant.
Yeah, Papa.
Thank God.
Uh,
Is this perhaps time to bring in Papa?
You know, Lucio, I think it is time to bring in Papa.
I will go fetch it.
Who's
These are
Papa.
so funny.
Who's Papa?
Don't worry about it.
As that question floats through the air and Lucio does his like old man jog down the street,
No,
we're
it's
gonna
like,
take.
it's intense.
Oh,
anime.
it is. I forgot. You're absolutely shredded.
Yeah.
As he runs like an aged Fabio,
From a 3-point stance.
just bolts down the street, perfect form. We're gonna take our little break. We will be back shortly. Thanks everyone for being here.
Wow.
Howdy, everybody. We're back from break. It was a lot longer for us than it was for you.
True.
But
I'm sorry.
I'm on a time crunch. Hey, I'm on a time crunch, Drew. Apologies after. We've got a game to play.
Got a mystery to solve.
There's a mystery afoot.
Lucio. Lucio.
Yeah.
Last we left off,
I went
you
to
were
get Papa.
running to go fetch Papa. Getting to Papa is kind of a difficult thing where you don't actually go to him. You go to a location where there's a guy there and you're like, yo, I need to meet with Papa. And he's like, well, what's the password? And you're like, no one told me this week's password. He's like, it's okay. Didn't actually have a password. I'll get him. Where do you want to meet up? You just tell him, back at the Rusty Musket. This is where you guys are. Sure enough, you guys are sitting around. Lucio, you head back. You guys are all kind of waiting. Lucio, you have poured a couple drinks from the bar.
Mhm.
You are also an expert in mixed drinks.
Of course.
That is something that you picked up. Not
term is-
hugely popular yet,
Mixologist.
but yeah, that term has not been coined, but you're working on it. Sure enough, you guys are kind of lightly talking, trying to make a bit more. The mood's a bit tense. You're trying to make it a bit more lighthearted. When all of a sudden, the old Western effect occurs. The sun silhouettes as the doors fling open. Suddenly, you stop shaking. Everyone turns, and in walks Virgil Papadopoulos, aka Papa.
Virgil
This-
Papadopoulos?
Papadopoulos.
Papadopoulos.
aka Papa. First
Emphasis
name
on
Virgil.
Papa. Yeah.
I immediately set down the canister, grab a broom, and as he's stepping forward, I'm sweeping the floor in front of him.
Yep. This, if there was such a thing as a tycoon in the 1800s, this is Virgil. Also, Virgil is an Aurae, Aurae. He is a wind spirit, wearing a big, royal, not royal, a dark, midnight blue trench coat, a bright white shirt underneath, adorned with all sorts of random jewelry. He has a bolo tie, with a big gold bracket on it, a big black Stetson, cowboy hat. It's honestly kind of a mismatched, oh no, we lost DJ's camera.
Uh-oh.
Oh, he's back. We're good.
Okay.
But it's kind of just, it's all of these pieces would look so great if they were not all on the same guy at the same time. He has a big, chonky handlebar mustache, a huge cigar, that he currently has lit. And the main thing that kind of changes for you guys as to how other people see him. Other people see him just as a large man with questionable fashion sense. You guys notice that the bottom of him tapers off into wisps of mist and wind. And so there literally is no sound as he walks, although for some reason the floorboards still do creak. Silas, you've dealt with Papa plenty of times, none of them in great circumstances. The main thing that Papa is known for is the war on the street. Papa hears it all. Benedict, you know Papa. If there is any one person in this town who gets information faster than you, it's this guy. It's wild the things that he knows and hears on a day-to-day basis. If there's anyone who would know what might be stirring in the underground, It's Papa. He rolls up, like, kind of he, like, floats, but it's like he slinks at the same time, and then, like, sits down on kind of a bar stool, just a few seats away, leaning, like, a half inch above the table. Like, his elbow doesn't actually rest on the table, because he floats.
I place a glass and a perfectly clear cube of ice, and then I take an empty shaker and I shake it, and then I take the filter and I pour just air into the glass.
You've also been experimenting with, like, you're one of the first, like, practitioners and users of dry ice.
Ooh,
So there's a thin film of, like, mist that begins to kind of overflow the cup as well. And he kind of, like, readjusts, tips his Stetson at you, and leans back. He swirls the drink with his finger, but you do notice that he is actually drinking it because his body is made of air. So it just slowly begins to disappear. And he says, "Well now, if it isn't Sylas Espacio. It's been a mighty long time." He tips his hat at you, Aubrey, and says, "And of course, I don't want to be rude to none of the lady folk. It's a pleasure to meet you. You can call me Papa, but the name's really Virgil Papadopoulos. And there's your butler fellow, am I right? And oh my, by the stars themselves, Benedict Collins."
My pleasure.
I wish I could say the same. Now, it's not too often that you call me, and it's never under great terms. And I have a guess as to what might be the situation. But feel free to tell me yourself. He takes an impossibly long puff of his cigar. Like, his cheeks just keep billowing up with smoke. And then, like, the entire time of your response, he is slowly exhaling, like, constant line of smoke that forms little, like, animals that run around as he forcefully moves the wind to, like, shape the smoke.
Well, Papa, it has been a while, and it is good to see you again. As you do know, I'm sure, my brother is missing. And given your expertise in gaining knowledge, I expect that you have some information that would be helpful as to what happened to him.
Well, there may have been some whispers on the wind here and then again. Maybe not. It's hard to know.
DM, do I know... I assume we have a normal currency that we pay this guy with? Is there a currency that we pay this guy with?
Oh, yeah. It's the crisp American dollar.
Since I'm behind the bar, I place a let's see, this is 1871.
Yeah.
I place a crisp $100 bill on the bar next to his. Next to his glass.
That's
for a frame of reference. It's like for some people, it's like $1 a day wage. So this is like 3 plus a little bit months, like, wage for some people.
That's real good.
He does. You see him kind of glance down. He looks at you, Lucio. Takes another. Just keeps going. And as he does, he pauses for a moment and then exhales, and then, like, little smoke, like, minions kind of, like, pop out, run down a little smoke bridge to the table, grab and start curling the $100 bill.
I love it.
Which, mind you, I don't even know. The $100 bill has been printed in 1871, right?
Hey, it is.
Sure.
It has now.
It is now.
Yeah.
The first $100 bill. But they roll it, and then they literally just run off into the sky with it. Like, they just run out the door and then away.
Nice.
And he says,
Ha!
well, has it been created yet?
It was the first $100 bill was printed in 1914.
Man, you got the prototype.
So, $50 bill.
It's just a solid gold bar.
Honestly,
I just placed a gold bar on the thing.
Yep, they roll it up, carry it out the window. And either way, you pay him a hefty sum. $101 bills. And he
I got a low roll.
yeah. And he looks at you and he says, well, you certainly got the pattern down. You know, butlers. Is he a butler? What exactly is your profession?
Butler.
Oh, good. Very good. Certainly, I have to say, I'm honored by your show of affection, but this is, even for me, it's pretty confidential. Now, let me tell you, the payment is enough, but I can only give you so much. There's higher powers at work.
For what it's worth, we know that the Machiavellis are at least involved. If that's what you're worried about.
It is
Involved with what again?
Well, clearly, this entire thing. We can smell the dog. We know they use greyhounds. It adds up.
The
We also
dog.
smelled sulfur.
Dog and sulfur, you say? Well, smelled plenty of that on the wind these days.
Well, what is it from?
And that's where the problem comes about. I am contractually obligated by another source, where I can't quite tell you that much. But you did pay me a hefty sum. Let me tell you, boy, I've been flying around these parts since before the Chicago was ever founded. This has been a gathering place of my kind for a long, long time. There's old magic here. More bodies are buried in the ground than your folk have ever even been born. Old magic. Things that probably better be left alone. Things that I would rather not and cannot tell you about.
Like
And although,
what?
well, if I could tell you that, then we wouldn't be having this conversation.
So worth a shot.
But I might not be able to tell you quite what you need to know, but I do know that there is someone who isn't held down by the fetters of contractual obligation. Or when I say someone, it's more like something. And I do think your pretty friend there might already know the answer to this.
Everybody
I
just
think.
looks over to Aubrey.
Yeah, no, everyone looks at Benedict, the pretty. She might not quite realize it yet, but she should know where to go. Old prophecies have been told there for a long time.
Give me one moment.
While this is happening, I look over at Aubrey, and I just mouth.
Yeah, I give a very similar. I give a very similar look.
Aubrey's like her thing is history.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. No, she's gonna know.
Wait.
Yeah.
I need help from the GM.
Okay.
Lydia would like to roll a history check.
Lydia needs assistance. Lydia is not Aubrey brain.
The library.
I think I know,
The library.
but just in case I don't,
If you would like
help me.
to double check, could you please roll? I will allow a learning check
Okay.
or an observation check to either A, rifle through every bit of knowledge that you have in your mind and pick the one that seems to match.
Hold on. Give me one second. It's in here. I know it. Give me 1 second.
What was this guy again?
This guy?
Yeah.
Papa?
A wind
Yeah.
spirit.
Oh, he's an Ori, a wind spirit.
All right.
That's another 2 6s. Please help.
Please help.
I'm assuming that this is learning.
Yes.
Yes. You rifle through some of your knowledge, and then you get stuck on. He mentioned prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
He is correct. The Chicago area has been very kind of magically charged for a long time. It connects like a big like river section. There are railroad tracks.
I got it. I found it.
Aaron, I think she got it.
Aubrey is doing this in game. She says it out loud, I think.
And people, including the Native Americans and like early settlers, have used a certain location in Chicago to commune with their lost ones.
It's Lake Park, Lincoln Park now. That's what you're talking about, right?
At this point in time, everyone's kind of been looking at you, and you notice that he has silently
Left.
like not left, but he has gotten up and kind of like dramatically turned, and he says, "Well, now, miss, you ought to know, client confidentiality. I can't tell you what exactly you're saying is correct or not. But if it was, you didn't hear it from me. Just a little voice on the wind told you." As he floats towards the gates and says,
I run in front of him and sweep.
you notice that he has been like air blasting the area in front of him. The sweeping isn't even necessary.
Nice.
But he turns back just briefly over his shoulder and he says, "Now, Silas, you really ought to be careful. I don't want to lose one of my most favored benefactors. I'm just gonna warn you, this goes a lot deeper than you might expect." As he brushes his hand, takes a puff of his cigar, more little like minions and animals move, and calmly move the doors open as he floats out.
We'll see you later,
One more
Papa.
tip of the hat. I hope I can say the same. And then he floats down the walkway, then disappears.
Benedict turns to Silas and says, "Silas, be honest with me. Is there anything you can think of Vinny being a part of that would anger ancient spirits, as Papa was saying? Anything at all? Anything that comes to mind?"
It doesn't make any sense to me. Vinny was always to himself. He's not exactly, well, let's just say he likes to tinker with things and likes to be left to his own devices. I can't imagine anyone trying to hurt him, or him being involved with anything that would put him in harm, aside from, obviously, our family, but, well, there would be ripe justice for him if anyone does lay a finger on him.
Well, I found that people that keep to themselves, they often have something to hide. And he kind of grins and winks at Silas, and then he turns to Aubrey, and he says, "What was that place you said we need to go again?"
Lincoln Park.
I suggest we start there.
You all know of Lincoln Park. Lincoln Park was once known as Lake Park, renamed in 1865 after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. Lake Park, as it was once known, it's kind of strange that it was given the name Park because it was actually a cemetery. People were still buried in the cemetery up until 1866. It is not a lot of people's favorite place to be. For those of you watching, it is still, there are still like thousands of bodies buried in Lincoln Park. They sometimes are unearthed when people go renovating the place. It's a real thing. For those of you in the now, it's still a real thing.
If I recall, Venus, that was not exactly a very fun place to be. Hopefully Vinny isn't still there.
Right. Not fun at all. As Aubrey has actually spent quite a bit of time there. It's like...
Oh, yeah, you know this place like the back of your hand. In fact, can you roll another learning check for me?
Yeah,
I just want to see if you may have already encountered the next thing.
Oh my god, I'd be so excited if I had.
Come on, Lydia.
I got 1.
All right. You have actually made friends, kind of, with... It's a very strange character, not in the, like, attitude or, like, perception of them. They honestly look pretty normal. But you have made friends with a ghost there.
Yes.
A ghost?
Yes! Oh, I'm so excited!
Aubrey says out loud.
So we go to Lincoln Park?
I was going to ask, I presume that you guys head towards the park.
Lucio,
Yeah.
how about some drinks for the road?
They don't have
maybe-
to-go cups in
maybe drinks.
1871.
Maybe drinks
That's true.
after we find Vinny.
Oh, fine. Ruin the fun. Let's do this.
This is my brother we're talking
the way,
about.
Aubrey.
Thank you very much.
As
Hey,
we
I
go,
have my ways.
I look at Benedict and on the other side, I just took a flask.
He does the clicky finger gun thing, like the yeah, good job.
You guys head towards Lake Park. I'm just gonna speed up this process here for you. We're on a time limit here, guys. Just a reminder.
Called out.
Definitely not an issue that we deal with in the main campaign.
Never. You see, DJ, you need to do this more. You just need to say, "You do the thing," and then just go with it.
You move on.
100%. No, Chicago is the #1 railroad station in the world. That's what you guys are going on right now. You guys travel to the northern kind of edge of the Chicago area, to Lake Park. Aubrey, of course, you start to head to your kind of favorite location. Lincoln Park at this point in time, not the band. Is it Lincoln Park? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Keep going.
Close enough. You head towards, there's a mausoleum that has a nice little like tree trunk that you have found suits quite well as a sitting position. It is the mausoleum of Ira Couch. Couch, spelled like couch. IRA for the first name.
Heck yeah. My spelling's on point today. Okay.
10 out of 10.
Because you're
Well,
Aubrey. Aubrey just has done
exactly.
this enough.
You are a scholar.
I am an academic. Okay.
Yep. It is, right now, it's probably approaching, like, middle of the day to, like, afternoon-ish. Probably around, like, I'm going to say 2 o'clock. You get there. It is peaceful. It hasn't rained in months. So it's pretty dry, pretty hot. But pretty standard for the days it has been. You get there. It almost looks, mausoleums aren't as scary as people think. It honestly kind of just looks like a stone tool shed. On it, it has COUCH up above the doors. The doors are sealed shut. But this is legitimately a graveyard. There are tombs and, like, headstones all over the place. Barely a footpath between them. Why anyone decided to call this park, who knows? It doesn't smell good here. With the ground the way it is, this area has not been raised as far as a lot of places. It just kind of smells like rot, like, throughout the entire place. But it's strangely calming to you, Aubrey. Like, you spend a lot of time here, and you're like, you get used to it after a little while. What do you do?
Okay, what do I know about my ghost friend?
Oh, whether or not Ira shows up kind of varies on the day. Most of the time, like, you originally started out, you just kind of sat on the stump, read books, sometimes you'd, like, measure the geography and, like, try to figure out, like, what kind of things. This specifically was a big area of ritual, for tons of different people, early settlers, Native Americans. This spot in particular it feels like cheesy to call it like an Indian burial ground, because it really isn't. But this was like a spiritual summoning area. So the fact that he showed up was honestly completely random. You were sitting there, and it took you a long time, especially for someone with the sight, to realize that it was a ghost. Like, you're like, oh, why is this, like, weird guy here? But he seems nice enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes he'll just show up.
Okay. She kind of, like, sets up on the little stump and takes her books from Lucio and just setting them out, and she kind of sits down on it, and she's like, okay. I mean, I have a friend here who can sometimes stop by, more on their own whim, though. Any idea what you guys want to do?
Do you come here often?
Yeah.
Why?
Research purposes.
I suppose that makes sense.
So we're just supposed to sit, wait, see if
But this is actually perfect, because I actually found this philosopher friend's new thing on this kind of in-between world kind of thing that I kind of wanted to share with Ira, but I don't know if they're actually around right now.
Right.
Well,
and you're
this is all
certain that
going
this
on.
is what Papa was speaking of.
Yes. This place is a place of prophecy, communion with the spirits, long before Chicago was even Chicago.
It's worth a shot.
It's got to be what he was talking about.
While this is going on, I would like to start sniffing around for wet dog fur or sulfur.
Please roll a vigilance. Actually, roll an investigation for me.
Investigation. Very nice, very nice.
Because you have a specific target that you're looking for.
Three
Aubrey,
successes.
3 successes?
Wow.
Nice.
You smell a lot of things, but there is no smell of, like, sulfur or wet dog. There is rot, there's decay. There is kind of a weird scent, potentially in a moment, Aubrey, could you please roll an inspiration check for me?
Yes.
What is that? What is an
Inspiration, it's under skills.
Oh, okay. Is that just... What is it?
I'm not there too!
That's awesome. So, to explain the empathy tool set, there's inspiration, manipulation, and observation. Inspiration would be something along the lines of, well, to inspire. It is to give a rousing speech to convince people to join your side, or
kind of
something
like
along those lines.
But
kind of,
like positive?
But it's positive. Manipulation is for trying to deceive or terrify someone into doing what you want. And observation is reactional. It's to read the room, see what people are thinking, what people are saying, what they really mean behind their words. It is their insight check.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Lucio, you are searching the grounds. You're keeping an eye out. There is almost no movement. The Windy City isn't actually that windy. It's only named the Windy City. A lot of people think because people are really, really talkative about Chicago, and they really like the place. So they kind of got the like Windy City, where it's like, oh, everyone is so talkative about Chicago.
Interesting.
It also is a massive gathering space of spirits, but that could be complete coincidence. No wind. But there is kind of a sudden, kind of like a crisp, like it's not a bad scent. It's just like a smell that is sharp. Like hits your nose. It's kind of like when you go from somewhere really stale and then you suddenly smell like boiling tomatoes or like cooked meat, like fresh out the pan, where it's that very like smell. And you turn and see that out of the like Cooch mausoleum, out of the wall, a man in like a fancy like petticoat, like suit jacket, like full like 3-piece suit going on, a very similar like kind of fancy like tie to your own, a top hat, a very like handsome man, like square set jaw, almost like a side like combed pompadour. It's very, very rich looking. Strolls out of the mausoleum and like kind of goes and just like stands like and looks over the shoulder of Aubrey. Silas and Benedict, you two have been like kind of distracted. Like sometimes you look back at Lucio, sometimes you bicker with each other, sometimes you ask a question to Aubrey and stuff like that. Lucio, you see this first. Benedict and Silas, you see it next when you go and turn and look at Aubrey. Aubrey, as you finish saying the word Chicago, this voice says, "My dear, Chicago has always and will always be Chicago."
You're right. Anyway, did you hear what I was talking about? And I turned to face him and I was like, "Do you hear what I was saying earlier?"
About what? You've spoken about several things.
About the whole philosophy thing.
Ah, yes, this in-between?
Right.
I personally don't put any credit to it unless someone goes meddling along with worlds that they shouldn't.
Probably.
Now, it is terribly rude. Introduce me.
Right. Sorry. So this is my friend Silas. And this is my friend Benedict. Benedict Collins. And that over there is Lucio.
I give a nice bow.
He responds in kind. He straightens up, takes off his top hat, and gives a very polite bow. This is a very strange feeling for you guys, because like you kind of know him, like from when you were really little. Like this guy and his family was in the paper a lot, but you guys were like pretty young. Like your parents talked about him a couple of times. Ira Cooch and his brother James were like Chicago businessmen. They specifically Ira had multiple like hotels. All of them burned down except for the most recent one. That one is still currently standing. It is called the Tremont House. As for why it's called the Tremont House, I honestly can't remember. But he died in 1857. Specifically,
that's not too long ago.
Yeah, that's not that long. So, Lucio, you definitely remember this guy because you're like 50, right?
Yeah, I'm like 59, 60.
Oh, so 100%. You were like in your 30s when this dude died.
I was a full adult.
Yeah, you were like a normal guy. And it's very strange to see him like just alive again. I mean, he clearly isn't. You can see like it's very well hidden, but like there is some like rot on the like undergarment, like the under parts of his suit.
Yeah.
His shoes look a bit tattered. His top hat has a few holes the more that you look into it. Every once in a while he'll turn and the like light will catch him and shine through, and you'll see like this like kind of ghostly skeleton kind of going on.
Yeah. I'll approach him. I never had the pleasure of actually meeting you, but it is quite a pleasure seeing you up and moving again, Mr. Coach.
I am terribly sorry. I have no idea who you are, but you are friends of a friend. Therefore, you are my friend. Is there something I could help you with today? Most of my time is simply spent, most of my time isn't spent doing anything, but whenever Aubrey shows up, I mainly just assist her with her research and kind of bounce ideas off. Is there anything that I can do for that? Any special reason that you have graced my mausoleum?
I just step aside and gesture to Silas.
It is a pleasure, Mr. Cooch. As Aubrey mentioned, we are all friends, and myself, we're looking for my brother. He recently has gone missing, and we have a decent hunch that perhaps the supernatural was involved in some way, and let's just say a helpful informant was saying that you might have an idea as to what might have happened.
Terrible thing, your fate. Terrible, terrible thing. But your brother, you said he went missing.
Yeah. Wait.
I mean, have you contacted the police?
We like to handle matters in our own hands.
It's
family
family
keep it within the family, of course,
Yes.
of course.
Well, plus with matters like these, what can they really do?
I mean, there was one time when my brother did go missing, and the first thing that I did was call the police, and he was alive then. Honestly, I haven't really kept track.
Right. Do you have an idea?
I have many ideas all the time. Let me tell you, I was at the prime of my life. It was a matter of enterprise. It was.
Do you have any
brilliant.
ideas about the potential whereabouts of Mr. Espacio?
I can only assume that he was probably within Chicago.
That is very helpful. It helps narrow the search down from the entire country.
Yes,
Any
I'm
other-
sorry. You were who again?
Lucio.
Ah, yes.
Any ideas of where in Chicago?
He turns towards Aubrey and like goes to like elbow her, but then stops short. Aubrey, you have never been like touched by the ghost, but if you ever have asked why that is the case, he's given you a very vague answer that it would be not good to make physical contact with him. And he says, he kind of leans down and like points towards Lucio, and he says, "I'd watch your back around this one." And you, Mr. Collins, that is your name, right? I feel
Benedict
like I've
Collins.
seen a scrap of newspaper with your face in it.
I'm sure, maybe more than once. Yes, I am a private detective. I've
Yes.
solved many cases, and as you can see, I'm accompanying these kind people on this.
How are
On
you
this
managing your
particular-
cravings? I had a terrible time with them. I mean, of course, I died before they really affected me all that much. But
Let's stay on topic, Mr. Cooch.
on topic, what were we talking about again?
We were talking about the Espacio's brother.
Oh, yes.
Vincent.
We were
the
told by
burnt one.
Papa. I'm sure you know him. We were
No,
told
you
by-
talking to Papa?
Yes, we were. And he
Wait,
told
No,
what
us
was
well, you
that
can
might
never
know
trust
something.
him.
What was that? What was
Hmm?
what did you the what one?
What?
The what one?
Papa. The untrustworthy... Win or I?
You said something before that.
I said many things before.
About the brother?
The brother.
You said something.
Oh, yes, my
the burnt
brother.
one?
Well, I do
No,
believe
not,
that
not,
he
not
may
your brother,
still
not
be
your brother,
alive.
not your brother,
Espacio.
Silas's brother. I'll look into your brother for you later.
Vinny.
Oh,
Espacio.
please, you don't have to. I'm pretty sure I left him in my will. Although...
Honestly, I'm kind of intrigued by it, and I kind of just want to do it for fun.
Aubrey.
I mean, you
What?
can go right ahead.
Vinny.
You guys are very
Espacio.
quickly understanding why Aubrey and this guy get along really well together.
They both are.
Like they
Yes.
both will like start and they're like, "Oh yeah."
Right. Okay, but Vinny, Silas's
yes.
brother. You said
Ah.
something.
Mm-hmm.
There's something like
What did you say?
being burned or something.
The burnt one? Is that what you said?
I don't remember anything about burned. It's terribly difficult to remember what exactly you said when you're peering into the afterlife all the time. You know,
That's
those
fair.
wind spirits always talking about the words on the wind and the things that they see and hear. It's nothing compared to being dead. See all sorts of things that travel along the flows of death. Terrible, terrible, honestly. The future, the past, the present, all
Speaking
at
of,
once.
that's philosophy. So anyways, this guy was saying there's like 3 different heavens and there's like 3 different hells. And then
that's
depending
why.
Aubrey.
and then when you first die,
So
what?
let me ask you a question. You said that you see things along the rivers of the dead.
See things, hear things, taste things, smell things. Sometimes they even touch me and it is not pleasant.
Vinny looks significantly like Silas. Have you seen someone like Silas on the rivers of the dead?
I don't see a whole lot of people anymore. There was some scraps of writing, some sounds, some noises.
So
Things
it's safe to
here
assume
and
that he's at
there.
least alive.
Hmm?
So it's safe to assume that he's at least alive?
I don't think it's safe to believe anyone's alive at any point in time. Trust me, sometimes I've forgotten myself.
Took me a
What?
while to figure it out with you.
Oh, let me tell you, it was work, and honestly, I was not any help.
Now, I have something that might
Anyway,
actually
as I was
interest you.
saying.
Aubrey, one moment. Please. I have
Seems
something that might
serious.
actually interest you, Mr. Cooch. Papa,
Yes?
he mentioned a prophecy.
A
Something
prophecy?
relating to these lands, and perhaps Vinny is somehow wrapped up into all of it. I don't know how, but we were wondering if perhaps you knew what that prophecy might be. Obviously, you see, taste, hear a lot of things. We get it. I'm curious if you know any specific thing that would be helpful for us regarding Vinny, please.
Oh, well, it's not exactly proper. If you wanted a prophecy, you should have offered a proper seance. But I suppose for a friend, I can perhaps pull a line or two.
I
That-
like this.
That would be lovely.
Let's see. And he says, give me just a moment.
And
I-
he fades back into the mausoleum.
Just turn to Aubrey
Oh,
and
I
just
didn't
like
get to finish my
wide-eyed.
philosophy.
That's quite the friend you acquired.
Lucio is tapping his foot, very annoyed, on the ground.
Well, maybe
It's
we'll
probably the
hear it.
most
Anyway,
pissed off
so
you've
this
ever seen him.
philosophy, right, is this guy who thinks there's like 3 heavens and there's 3 hells, and then there's this in-between area where you go immediately when you die, and then depending on if you are more of a selfish person or more of a loving other people, it depends on if you go to the hells or the heavens. That was what my philosophy was.
And did this
A figure
couch or cooch?
fades back through the wall. You can tell this is still Kira, except he's now clothed in like a big like end of the world cloak, like the classic Grim Reaper, like big hooded, like monk robes, face covered in shadow, and he says, I have drank of the rivers of death, and come bearing but a snippet of a prophecy.
Benedict
Hear
waves-
now, children of life, those who have yet to grace the shores of the damned. And listen close. If you have a pencil, I recommend you also have paper to write it down.
Write this down, Aubrey. Write this down.
I write down everything.
Good. Thank you.
She really does.
We're listening.
Hush now. It's for dramatic effect. I was only able to manage 2 lines and not a proper seance. Between the rows of alleyways, there shines the setting sun.
Hold on.
Some of those alleyways there.
Shines
Lies.
a setting sun. Continue.
Sun. Alright, continue.
By fire shall rise, and by fire shall fall the beast of 71.
By fire shall rise and by...
Oh, Lucio, you talking? Best map my line. Can you say it one more time?
No, I'm sorry. The prophecy has left me now. Honestly, I don't remember
the beast,
anything.
the
Bad
beast of
as it
71. I got it.
Yeah.
You got it? You got it?
I got it.
Thank goodness this is incredibly stuffy. He throws back the hood.
Right, so did you hear me taking the philosophy?
Yes, with the 3 heavens and the 3 hells
and
and
you're
in
in this in
between.
between.
I never made it to either heaven or hell. I have been here as a patron saint of Chicago since I died.
Yes, you're
Benedict
caught in the
walks
world of the
over.
spirits, the in between.
Benedict walks over to Lucio and just like kind of reaches out, points to his vest, and reaches out for the flask. And he totally takes it. Just
He
starts
turns and
swigging.
picks up a big
I
old swig
just-
himself and then
Yep,
hands it to
they're
you.
just trading off.
I just start. I start picking up books, and I just like grab Audrey's arm and just start walking away.
And I'll tell you about it next time, okay?
And he says, not a problem, dear. Although you really should learn to overcome that fear of yours, it could be quite devastating in the near future. Remember, 2 days.
And then he just kind of goes back into the mausoleum,
Yeah.
and it is completely silent.
Oh, dang it.
Alright, you'll probably get your chance again.
Okay.
That-
Okay.
My
I
brain
just
hurts.
I need a second. I need to process.
The McKellar's boys are both like, oh, my brain hurts.
Did we learn anything?
Yes, we learned a lot. We learned of the prophecy between the rows
Fire,
of alleyways. There's signs of setting
alleys.
sun. By fire shall rise, and by fire shall fall. The beast of 71. Something's happening in 2 days, and I think there's a significance to the fire part of that
As-
prophecy.
I was gonna
Well,
say
it's
he
clearly
mentioned
about the
you
sun.
mentioned fire quite a bit.
Fire burnt 2 days. 2
The
days.
sun
What does 2
clearly
days
resembles fire.
That something's happening in 2 days.
Mean? Yes, but what?
I don't
The
know.
beast.
Probably a fire.
Maybe.
Maybe one that burns down the whole city.
that could be possible.
I'm not so sold.
Implausible.
DM, is there 71? Is there 71st Street that I like? Am I familiar if there is a
The year
71st
is
Street?
1871.
Well, shut up. Okay.
If there is, let me tell you, I don't know about it. There might be.
Well, Benedict would like to use his skill. What's it called? His talent. Elementary?
Ooh.
To see if he could put some of the clues, the wet dog, the sulfur, the riddle,
yes.
to see if he could put any of it together, you know, the Machiavelli's stuff, whatever it is, what Papa said, everything.
So,
anything
you take it, you say, give me a second, you head into a nearby alleyway.
Yes, take out Spurk the rock.
Yep.
That he thinks is a chrysalis.
You take some medication real quick.
Oh, dude, it's been in his pipe, man. He puts
100%.
more in there. Yep, lights it up.
Sit there for a couple seconds, and all of a sudden, things start to unfold in front of you. Dots begin to connect. Some are still unconnected. You don't quite have all the puzzle pieces yet.
Mm-hmm.
You think about the prophecy, the lines of the prophecy. Between the rows of alleyways, there lies the setting sun.
We're on to something.
You're thinking of the positioning of the street. The access hatches.
The access hatches.
The city had been razed. You think back. Earlier, Papa. He mentioned something to Silas. This goes deeper than he thought. He isn't the type of guy to say things that just don't have any meaning.
Trolley my tracks, Spurk. We must go under the city.
Absolutely. You realize that the track that he was following was close enough to an entrance hatch that they might have gone below ground.
Alright, Benedict just out from behind wherever he was. He just kind of, steps out dramatically and says, I know where we must go. The hatches. Papa said it's deeper than we thought. The trail you followed, it led to a hatch.
Alleyways.
It's a great potential that they went under the city. You know it's been raised.
You want to know what's really funny about all of this?
So you knew that from the beginning?
No, well, I didn't know that from the beginning, but when I asked if there were any Vaesen around, and you said that there wasn't, I legitimately was about to be yo, I'm just gonna go open one of the hatches and pop my head in to see if there's any Vaesen that I can go talk to down beneath the city. And that would have solved this whole thing.
Well, you do know that ever since Chicago was raised, there's been a lot of restless spirits disturbed by it, undead or natural.
Wouldn't that give us even more reason to look under the city? If
right,
this is a
even more
endeavor?
reason to look, but even more caution to have.
Yes, but think about what might happen.
I must admit,
that's
Collins,
why I'm saying we need caution.
I must admit, Collins, I am impressed. We should march on and find this entrance and see where it leads us.
We might get in over our heads. Or perhaps under our heels. Either way, I'm excited. Let's unearth a mystery.
I pull out my revolver and I shoot him.
As they start walking, Aubrey does grab Silas's arm and kind of pulls him back a little bit, and it's we are just friends right now, right? I didn't offend you when I said friends earlier. I couldn't remember if that's where we were at.
The define the relationship talk right here, right now.
Silas just blushes just a little bit, but he doesn't it just don't worry about it, AJ.
He called you AJ, that's a friend name. That's a red flag. Also, does Benedict notice that they're kind of goody-goody a little bit?
Can you roll an observation check for me?
Yes.
And are you two trying to hide this?
She's speaking very quietly, and it was after they had walked away. So yes, it was trying to be hidden.
In that case, can you roll a stealth check for me? Silas will give you an additional +1 to that.
Okay, stealth check.
All right.
Well,
So this will be a contested roll.
I'll go off to a different, just not too far away, but I'll use one of the books that I got from AJ as a clipboard. Basically, I'm gonna start writing a letter.
Nice.
Okay, and you said I get one extra
Whoever is rolling the
I already rolled. And I
whoever's
rolled
rolling the stealth
pretty
gets
well.
an additional +1.
Okay.
All right, well,
I
I only
will
got
not
one
roll my
success.
6d6 for stealth.
How
And
many,
Dang.
Benedict?
I only got 1 success.
I got 2.
Oh, nicely done. Right under his nose.
They seem like good pals.
Yeah. I hope that's
yeah.
not a
So
problem.
after Silas says that, he'll just kind of give her hand just a small squeeze and just keep moving forward.
Absolutely. You guys head back to the Rusty Musket. It is probably hitting around 5 o'clock, approaching 6 o'clock. But as for what happens next, I believe that's an hour. Am I right on this?
I think
Yeah.
you are. I think that's
What?
2 hours.
No,
about.
we've
Yeah.
still got like 15, 20 minutes.
I would beg
That's
to
about
differ
an hour.
You're
because
wrong.
my timer says that we started this at around 10:44, and for me it's around 11:41.
Here, I'll help us fill in the last 3 minutes. I finish my letter, put it in an envelope, and I go ship it.
Absolutely.
Hey, there you go.
So, to wrap this up, thank you everyone for stopping by the first episode of Between the Rows,
1871.
1871.
Yes, it's happening again.
I'm having a blast. I hope that all of my players are having a blast.
A lovely blast.
I hope that
things are
you, the
starting to heat up.
viewers, are at least having a good time. I really hope you're having a blast too.
I know I'm
Um,
having a great time in chat right now.
Hoo boy.
Me too.
In the
Right
future.
back at you, bud.
Right, Lydia?
Someday in the
Right.
past.
Oh no, not this again. But yeah, hey, stop by our main campaign on Mondays. You guys are
Yes.
probably already from there. We also stream Table Scraps. I don't know if we'll be streaming it at the same time as we're streaming this, but if we are, it'll probably be on a Thursday afternoon-ish. Stop by that. We talk. We might be talking about Table Scrap or like Between the Rows. Who knows what we'll be doing? It'll be an
This
awesome
will be
time.
on YouTube and podcast formats. You might even be listening or watching to this on there. But if
And
you're
if
not,
you are,
hey, it's
thank
there.
you for doing that too. The number
Absolutely.
one thing that you all can do to help us is tell your friends and then tie them to a chair and force them to watch a video.
Right.
I mean, you don't
It
have
might
to
be
do the
this
second
video.
part. Don't have
Might
to
be
do the
this
second
video.
part, but if you do,
Also, if you haven't seen it yet and you haven't even heard of it yet, which is impossible because you made it this far, we have another Between the Rows, the first original Between the Rows, the first season of Between the Rows essentially
Oh,
that
my
we did
heart.
last year. It's flipping amazing. It's 6 episodes. Go watch that. It's on YouTube or listen
Oh.
to it on podcast.
also, I kind of forgot to mention this at the beginning, so if you're only hearing it now, I'll try to mention it again on the next episode. Death, if one of our players dies in this
Yeah.
game, they're out of the game. So,
Oh,
if that
Oh,
just keeps you
like-
watching,
I hope you guys like Benedict Collins since Silas just shot him.
it was nice
Not-
knowing you, bud.
But wait, not
Um,
just the character, the player.
Oh, yeah, they're gone.
Like if Benedict dies, I won't be in it for the rest.
We'll
of the
just
game.
have
Same
3
with
players.
Anybody. Just 3 players, and so at the end it might be 2, it might be 1.
It might be
person.
just me.
Just
Can
NPCs.
you imagine?
It'll just be 2 hours of me monologuing what happens in Chicago
You
on
suck
October
up.
7th.
You got me monologue. Sorry.
So, thank you everyone again for stopping by. Last thing I have to say is good luck and Godspeed. We will see you next time, Dungeoneers.
Ah!
Have a good night or day or evening, everybody. It's been a great
Thank you.
time.
You guys are awesome. Bye.